The queen leaned to my ear. "I know who you are, human," she said. The clouds below shimmered with colors that his human eyes had never seen before, shifting from violet to emerald in moments, like a living painting. Even through the reinforced glass of the shuttle, Elias could feel the weight of the world beneath him, not gravity, but history. This was the center of one of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations, and today he would step into its heart. He glanced at his companions, diplomats, scientists, and security personnel, each of them tense, trying to hide their awe behind careful professionalism. Elias, though trained to remain calm, felt a thrill coursing through him. Humanity had finally made its cautious approach to the wider galaxy, and here he was, representing millions of people on a single fragile planet. It was both an honor and a terrifying responsibility. As the shuttle touched down, the landing bay stretched before him like a cathedral. Massive structures of translucent crystal and metal rose from the ground, twisting elegantly into the sky. Bioluminescent veins ran through the walls, pulsing rhythmically as if the city itself were alive. Aliens of many forms moved with purpose, some floating, some crawling, some walking on multiple limbs, all of them silent and precise. Elias felt eyes on him, dozens, hundreds, yet he couldn't tell if they were curious, cautious, or hostile. The shuttle doors opened with a hiss, and a quiet voice spoke through the internal comms. "Remember your training, Captain. Keep calm, observe, and represent humanity with dignity." Elias nodded, though he knew that dignity felt like a fragile shield in the face of the unknown. Stepping onto the landing platform, Elias was immediately enveloped by the scent of the city. Sharp metallic notes mixed with something sweet, almost like honey but not quite. The gravity felt slightly heavier here, or maybe it was the weight of expectation pressing on him. Alien attendants approached, their movements fluid, elegant, unlike anything human muscles were built for. One, tall and slender with skin that shifted in color like oil on water, gestured for him to follow. "You are Captain Elias Harper of Earth?" it asked. Its voice was musical, each syllable ringing like a chime. Elias nodded. "You have been expected," the attendant said. The phrase sent a shiver down his spine. "Expected?" he asked, though he knew it wasn't rhetorical. Aliens had no way of knowing him personally. How could they expect him? The attendant didn't answer, only inclined its head and led him through corridors of impossible architecture. The walls bent in ways that defied physics, doors opening and closing without hinges, surfaces that seemed to breathe. At the end of the corridor, a massive chamber opened before him, a throne room so vast that he had to pause and take in the sight. The floor was smooth, reflecting the soft glow of the walls, and across the room sat dozens of beings from countless worlds. They were gathered around a central figure, their postures rigid and attentive. And there in the center sat the queen of the Zolarians. She was enormous, even by her species' standards. Her body glimmered with iridescent armor-like plating, and multiple eyes of gold and silver scanned the room with serene authority. From her crown-like structure extended filaments that shimmered with energy, and her presence filled the entire chamber, a living embodiment of power. Elias had read about the Zolarian queen in reports, but seeing her in person was unlike anything he had imagined. His mind raced. This was it, the moment humanity had reached across the stars and met a being whose power spanned hundreds of systems. And yet, she did not rise. She simply looked at him, and he felt as if her gaze pierced straight through the layers of his training, past his composure, and into the core of who he was. A voice, soft and almost intimate, reached him, though no sound traveled through the air. The queen leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing. Elias instinctively took a small step back. Then, as if the world had narrowed to the space between them, she whispered, "I know who you are, human." Elias froze. He blinked, then looked around. Surely, he thought, it was a translator mistake, a trick of perception. But the queen's eyes remained fixed on him, and every part of the room seemed to shrink around the intensity of that gaze. The court fell silent. Aliens shifted in their seats, glancing at each other nervously. Elias swallowed hard. I don't understand," he said. How could you know?" The queen's filaments shimmered, a subtle pulse of light that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Your species," she said slowly, "has potential. It is rare, unpredictable, dangerous, and yet remarkable." Elias felt his throat dry. The words were a puzzle: dangerous, remarkable. He had trained for diplomacy, for negotiation, for the calm exchange of ideas. but never for this. This was something else entirely. One of the alien delegates, a creature with 6 limbs and transparent skin, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Your Majesty," it said, its voice like grinding stones, "we have not encountered humans before. How can this human be known to you?" The Queen's gaze did not waver. "I have watched your kind for many cycles. Through observation, through your history, your struggles, your victories, I know the shape of your spirit, human, and I know that this one represents it well." Elias' pulse quickened. Observation. Had they been spying on humanity for years? How far had they seen? Could they know everything about Earth? And yet there was no hostility in her voice, only acknowledgement and something that almost felt like admiration. "Captain Harper," she continued, "today is your first trial. Show us what humans can do, not just with your machines, not just with your weapons, but with your mind, your courage, your ingenuity." Elias swallowed again. A trial. He had expected diplomacy, perhaps cultural exchange, maybe a discussion of trade or alliances. He had not expected a test. Yet in her eyes he saw that this was not a punishment, it was an opportunity. An opportunity not just for himself, but for humanity. He straightened his shoulders. "I will do my best," he said, his voice firmer than he felt. The Queen's lips, or whatever served as them, curved slightly, almost imperceptibly. "I believe you will. Your species has a way of surprising even the most experienced eyes." A ripple went through the court. Some delegates leaned forward, their interest piqued. Others whispered among themselves. It was clear that Elias' presence alone had caused a stir, not because he carried power, but because he represented something new. Something the galaxy had not yet faced. The attendant guided him further into the throne chamber, to a platform that overlooked a massive simulation deck. Here, according to the Queen's instructions, he would face his first challenge. Panels lit up with holographic projections of star systems, alien fleets, and planetary colonies. Aliens who had spent centuries mastering interstellar strategy watched as Elias stepped onto the platform. "Your task," a translator device in his ear explained, "is to resolve a diplomatic crisis between 2 allied species whose conflict threatens the stability of this sector. You may use negotiation, strategy, or any means at your disposal, except violence. Observe the situation, consider the options, and act wisely. Your decision will influence the Council's perception of your species." Elias' heart raced. This was more than a test of logic, it was a test of humanity itself. Could he, one human among dozens of alien delegates, demonstrate that humans were not just a young, unpredictable species, but one capable of thinking beyond fear, beyond aggression, beyond self-interest? He focused, taking a deep breath. The holographic display shifted, showing the 2 alien species, each complex in design, each with its own culture, strengths, and weaknesses. The simulation pulsed, waiting for his input. Elias remembered the Queen's words, "I know who you are, human." Not just him, humanity. That realization settled a weight on his shoulders, but also a spark of determination in his chest. This was his chance to show them, and perhaps the galaxy, that humans were more than they seemed. He began to speak, analyzing the positions of the alien fleets, the histories of the species, and the potential consequences of each choice. His words were careful, deliberate, but they carried conviction. He proposed compromises, offered unexpected solutions, and appealed to logic, empathy, and honor, all traits the simulation might not have expected from a species deemed chaotic. The chamber was silent, every eye on him. Even the Queen leaned forward slightly, her golden eyes following every movement, every word. Elias could feel the tension in the room, the anticipation. Failure was not an option, but more importantly, he understood that success here would not just be measured in winning a challenge. It would be measured in proving the very essence of humanity. And in that moment, Elias Harper realized something profound. He was not just representing himself or even his mission. He was carrying the hopes, fears, and potential of an entire species into a court that spanned the stars. The first trial had begun. The holographic simulation pulsed in front of Captain Elias Harper, the star systems shifting like living mosaics. Alien delegates watched him carefully, their multiple eyes reflecting the glow of distant suns, moons, and planetary fleets. Every decision Elias made here was being scrutinized, not just for its logic, but for the message it would send about humanity. He felt the weight of it, yet a fire burned within him. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. "I know who you are, human." There was a certainty in her voice, a recognition that went beyond any normal diplomacy. It was as if she understood something fundamental about humans, a spark of potential that no alien had yet fully grasped. Elias studied the two alien species on the display. One, the Larvok, had sleek armored hulls and multiple limbs adapted for both diplomacy and combat. The other, the Viral, were taller, delicate in structure, but capable of incredible speed and precision. The simulation had placed them on the edge of open conflict. Their fleets hovered over shared planets, threatening trade routes, planetary governments, and countless lives. He realized the test was not about technology or brute force. It was about understanding. The challenge was to find a path that did not rely on power, but on thought, insight, and empathy. Humanity had survived countless trials on Earth, not by being the strongest species, but by being resourceful, creative, and sometimes daring. Elias knew he had to bring that to the fore. He began speaking, his voice steady but firm. The Larvok value security and honor above all else. The Viral value knowledge and trade. Both sides have valid fears. To resolve this, we must show them that cooperation brings more benefit than conflict. A murmur ran through the chamber. Delegates tilted their heads, some curious, others skeptical. Elias ignored them, focusing on the simulation. He suggested neutral trade zones, shared research stations, and a series of joint patrols that would demonstrate trust without risking either species' sovereignty. Consider their histories, he said. The Larvok have been betrayed before. The Viral have faced extinction through war. We cannot ignore these truths. Any solution must respect their fears and their pride. The holographic fleets responded. Slowly, fleets withdrew from hostile positions and planetary systems stabilized. The simulation shifted, showing the effects of his diplomacy. Trade resumed, citizens thrived, and the two species began tentative dialogue. A sound, almost like the click of hundreds of stones, filled the chamber. The Queen leaned forward, her filaments glowing gently. "Remarkable," she whispered, almost to herself. "Even in a controlled simulation, the human finds paths that are unexpected." Elias felt a mix of relief and disbelief. He had passed the first challenge, but he sensed that this was only the beginning. The Queen's attention had singled him out, and that meant future trials would test more than his mind. They would test the essence of humanity itself. After the simulation ended, the delegates dispersed, some muttering to one another. Elias was escorted to a private chamber where the Queen awaited him. The room was smaller than the throne chamber, yet no less magnificent. Crystalline structures lined the walls, shifting in color as if reacting to thought. Light bent and flowed in ways human physics could not explain. "You handled the first trial with grace," the Queen said. Her voice, soft yet resonant, filled the room. Elias realized that every word she spoke carried weight. Even a simple compliment from her could shift the perception of the entire council. "I did my best," Elias replied. "I hope it was sufficient." "It was," she said, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "Humans are intriguing. You approach problems in ways that are illogical and yet effective. You balance emotion and reason, intuition and strategy. This is rare in the galaxy. Most species are predictable, and predictability can be dangerous when overestimated." Elias felt a surge of curiosity. "Why me, Your Majesty? Why me and why now? Humanity is young in the galaxy. Most civilizations have not noticed us." The Queen's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. "I have been observing your species for cycles beyond your measurement. Your history, your struggles, your triumphs. I see potential in humans that I do not see in others. Your unpredictability is your strength. You can adapt, survive, and inspire. And that is why I am interested in your kind now." Elias realized that her words carried more than admiration. There was strategy here, recognition of the unknown. Humans were small, fragile, and few compared to the galaxy's giants, yet the Queen saw something in them that others had missed. "You have been watching us?" he asked, astonished. "Not in person," she said, a hint of amusement in her tone. "We do not need to send armies to observe. Your species leaves marks upon your world, upon your neighbors. Your signals, your broadcasts, your movements, all tell a story, and your story is fascinating." Elias thought of Earth, of its wars and peace treaties, of its failures and innovations. Could this alien queen truly understand humanity from afar? And if she could, what did it mean for the future? "You will face more challenges," she continued, her filaments pulsing gently. "Each one designed to test different aspects of humanity. Not your technology alone, not your strategy alone, but the qualities that define your species: creativity, courage, empathy, and resilience. If you succeed, you will show the galaxy that humans are worthy of recognition, of trust, of influence. Elias nodded slowly. I understand, and if I fail? The queen tilted her head, her golden eyes unwavering. Failure is not the worst outcome. Even in failure, humans learn. That is part of your charm. But the stakes are high, Captain Harper, not just for you, but for all who follow you. Your actions will shape perception, opportunities, and alliances. Be mindful. Elias felt the pressure settle on his shoulders. It was heavier than any physical weight he had ever carried, and yet there was a strange exhilaration in it. He had spent his life preparing for challenges on Earth, but this was different. He was no longer just a soldier, an explorer, or a diplomat. He was a representative of all humanity, standing on the edge of the galaxy under the scrutiny of a species far older and more powerful than his own. Will there be time to prepare? He asked cautiously. You are always prepared, the queen said, a faint smile in her tone. But preparation alone will not suffice. You must think, feel, and adapt. That is what it means to be human. That is what you must show. Elias left the chamber with a mixture of awe and resolve. The first trial had tested his mind, the next would test his humanity itself. As he walked through corridors of impossible architecture, he felt the weight of expectation, but also a spark of determination. He would not fail, not for himself, not for Earth, and not for the potential the Queen had seen in him. Back in his quarters, he reviewed the events of the day. The simulation had gone well, but it was only the beginning. He knew the Queen's interest would draw attention from the Council and other delegates, some of whom might see humanity as a threat, or a tool, or a curiosity. Yet, despite the challenges ahead, he felt a sense of purpose unlike any he had experienced. Humanity had been quiet for so long, hidden on its small blue planet. Now the galaxy was watching. And for the first time, Elias felt the weight of possibility, not just survival, but recognition, respect, and influence. Later that evening, the Queen's message arrived, not through an official channel, but directly to his personal communicator. Captain Harper, it read, sleep well. Tomorrow you will meet the other species. Observe carefully. Listen. Remember that humanity's strength is not in size or speed or firepower, but in mind, heart, and courage. I will see you in the morning. Elias set the communicator aside and looked out the viewport at the alien city below. Lights shimmered in colors his mind struggled to name, and he felt a strange calm amidst the tension. He thought of Earth, its oceans, forests, and mountains. Its people striving, struggling, living. He realized that he carried them all with him, their hopes, their dreams, and their potential. And in that moment he understood what the Queen meant. She knew who he was, not just him, but the spirit of his species. A spirit that had survived countless challenges, that had adapted, that had dared to dream beyond the confines of its small world. Tomorrow, he would meet the galaxy's greatest minds. Tomorrow, he would face trials that would test the essence of humanity. But tonight, he allowed himself a quiet moment of pride. Humanity had been noticed. Humanity had potential. And Elias Harper, standing on the threshold of the stars, was determined to show that potential to the galaxy. He closed his eyes and let himself rest, knowing that the real challenge was just beginning. And somewhere across the vast distances of the throne chamber, the Queen watched. She did not sleep, but she did not need to. She had already seen the human spirit, and that vision would shape what came next. The galaxy, Elias realized, was a vast, dangerous place. But with courage, creativity, and heart, humans might just find their place among the stars. And Captain Harper, small and human as he was, would be the first to step forward. The next morning, Captain Elias Harper awoke to the soft hum of the alien city. From his quarters, the light filtered through walls that seemed alive, shifting in patterns he could not describe. The air was warm, scented faintly with minerals and something faintly sweet, like blooming flowers on Earth, though unlike anything he had known. The previous day's events weighed heavily on him, yet a quiet determination settled in his chest. Humanity had been noticed, and now it was time to prove that the Queen's recognition was well placed. An attendant arrived to escort him to the council chamber. Its movements were smooth, almost liquid, and Elias had long since stopped trying to analyze them. The chamber had changed since yesterday. New species had arrived, each more alien than the last. Some had multiple heads, some translucent bodies, some moved through the air without wings. They all looked at him with varying expressions: curiosity, skepticism, some open disdain. Elias knew the council had convened to observe humanity, and he could feel their judgment, like invisible weights pressing against him. The queen's presence, however, was unwavering. She sat in her central position, observing silently, her filaments pulsing gently with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. She did not speak immediately, allowing the council to settle, and in that pause, Elias felt the full gravity of the moment. "You will face 3 trials today, human," the queen finally spoke, her voice calm but commanding. "Each trial will test a different aspect of your species, not your strength, not your technology, but your mind, your heart, and your ability to inspire. Understand this, the galaxy watches through you." Elias nodded. He had trained for diplomacy, strategy, and communication, but these trials were beyond any human experience. Yet a part of him thrilled at the challenge. Humanity had always thrived in the face of adversity, finding solutions where others saw only obstacles. This was the chance to prove that trait on a galactic stage. The first trial was a test of diplomacy. A holographic display lit up the chamber, showing a conflict between 2 alien civilizations, the Zevran and the Caliph. The Zevran were a tall, crystalline species whose culture valued honor and ceremony. The Caliph were smaller, rapid, and highly intelligent, valuing commerce and logic above all else. Their conflict was over trade rights to a resource-rich planet, and war had been imminent for cycles. Elias studied the simulation carefully. The Zevran demanded tribute, the Caliph sought independence. Traditional solutions could fail, force might only escalate conflict. He spoke deliberately, considering not just facts but emotions and cultural values. "Honor cannot be bought," he began, addressing the simulation's delegates. "But it can be respected, and knowledge, though valuable, must be shared with fairness. There is a path where both sides can gain without losing their essence. Establish a joint council to manage resources, rotate leadership, and share technology. Let each culture lead in turn. This way, honor and intelligence are both respected, and war becomes unnecessary." The holographic Zevran paused, then adjusted their positions. The Caliph consulted each other, nodding in agreement. Slowly, tension eased across the system. Elias had not only resolved the conflict, but had done so in a way no simulation had predicted. A low hum filled the chamber, the delegates murmuring among themselves. Some tilted their heads, puzzled. Others seemed impressed. The queen's eyes glimmered with interest, and Elias felt a rare flicker of satisfaction. 1 trial down, 2 to go, and humanity's unique thinking had already begun to shine. The second trial tested courage. Elias was guided to a different chamber where a physical simulation awaited. The environment replicated a planet in chaos, raging storms, shifting terrain, and unstable ground. A stranded alien research team required rescue, but the path was filled with hazards: sudden drops, unstable energy fields, and collapsing structures. Elias hesitated briefly. Humans had survived harsh conditions on Earth, but this simulation tested both his nerves and decision-making under extreme pressure. He remembered the Queen's words: courage and adaptability were key. He moved carefully but swiftly, analyzing the terrain and predicting collapses before they happened. Using a combination of quick thinking and improvisation, he guided the simulated rescue team to safety, devising unconventional routes that balanced risk and efficiency. The observers in the chamber, sophisticated AI and alien delegates alike, were silent at first, then murmurs of surprise spread. No one had expected a human to navigate the chaos with such precision and ingenuity. After the second trial, Elias was exhausted. Sweat dripped from his brow, his heart raced, but a sense of accomplishment filled him. He had not relied on technology or brute strength, only observation, intuition, and calm under pressure, human traits honed through millennia of survival on Earth. The third trial was the most unexpected. The Queen herself addressed him directly. "This is a trial of empathy and inspiration. You will encounter an alien child, lost and frightened, separated from its family. You must restore trust and hope, not through orders, but through understanding and guidance." A small, translucent creature appeared in the chamber. Its limbs trembled, and it emitted soft sounds of distress. Elias knelt, speaking in gentle tones, though the alien could not understand his words. He focused on gestures, posture, and attention. Slowly, the creature responded, inching closer, sensing his intent. Elias guided the child through a series of challenges designed to test emotional intelligence, finding its family in a virtual environment, calming it during simulated dangers, and building trust through consistent, kind actions. Each step required patience and thoughtfulness, traits not always prioritized by other species in their own training. By the end of the trial, the child was safely reunited, visibly calm and trusting. The chamber erupted into silent applause, gestures of acknowledgement from the council. Humans, Elias realized, could influence hearts as well as minds, inspire confidence, and bring resolution without coercion. This was the essence of humanity the Queen had seen, and now the galaxy was witnessing it firsthand. After the trials, Elias was escorted back to a private chamber. His body ached, his mind buzzed, but the glow of success warmed him. The Queen appeared, her presence calm but intense. "You have exceeded expectation," she said softly. "Other species rely on predictability, on known methods. Humans, you create new paths. You do not see boundaries, you see possibilities. That is why I know your kind will shape the future." Elias, still catching his breath, nodded. "I did what I could, Your Majesty. I hope it is enough." "It is," she replied. "But this is only the beginning. Other trials will come, more complex, more subtle. They will test the very nature of your species. But you have proven one undeniable truth. Humans think differently. That difference is your strength." As he rested later in his quarters, Elias reflected on the day. He had faced simulations, dangers, and emotional challenges, and he had succeeded not because of weapons or advanced technology, but because of his mind, heart, and adaptability. Humanity had survived on Earth through creativity, courage, and cooperation. Now, those same traits had allowed him to stand out in a galaxy of species far older and stronger than his own. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. Other delegates might challenge him, fear him, or try to undermine him. The trials ahead would be harder, testing not only his skills but the essence of humanity itself. Yet Elias felt a quiet confidence. Humans had always been underestimated, and now, under the watchful eyes of the Queen and the galaxy, he would prove that unpredictability, courage, and empathy could change the course of history. Outside, the alien city stretched endlessly, glowing in colors and patterns that defied human description. The Queen had seen potential in humanity, and now the galaxy was beginning to notice. Elias Harper, small and human as he was, had taken the first steps in showing the universe that humans were more than fragile creatures on a distant blue planet. They were thinkers, innovators, and survivors capable of shaping the stars themselves. And the trials were far from over. The council chamber was silent as Captain Elias Harper entered. Today was different. He felt it immediately. The air was thick with anticipation, tension, and the weight of countless civilizations watching through delegates and observers. The trials were complete, and now the galaxy would decide humanity's place. Delegates from dozens of species filled the vast chamber. Some were towering, crystalline beings, their bodies refracting light into colors Elias could barely name. Others floated on invisible currents, their forms fluid and shimmering. Every eye, some literal, some far stranger, was upon him. The Queen's presence, however, anchored the room. She sat at the center, her golden eyes unwavering, her filaments pulsing gently. "You have witnessed the trials," she began, her voice calm but firm, echoing through the chamber. "You have seen the humans solve, adapt, and inspire. The question now is whether humanity will be welcomed as a participant in galactic affairs, or remain unknown, underestimated, and untested beyond its world." Elias felt the gaze of every delegate on him. He straightened his shoulders and prepared himself. This was no longer about simulations or controlled trials. This was about perception, judgment, and the future. A Larvok delegate, tall and armored, spoke first. Its voice was like grinding stone, sharp and precise. "This species," it said, gesturing toward Elias, "is untested. We do not know their limits. They may bring innovation or chaos. How can we trust a species that has never left a single planet with so much potential?" A viral delegate, sleek and rapid, clicked its mandibles. "Potential alone does not ensure stability. Humans have survived, yes, but through unpredictability. Unpredictability can be dangerous. Are we to invite a species that may destabilize our systems?" Elias listened carefully. He knew the council feared what they did not understand. Humanity had always been underestimated because humans were small, fragile, and seemingly unremarkable. Yet history had shown time and again that humans could survive, innovate, and overcome incredible odds. Today, he would speak not as an individual, but as the voice of his entire species. He stepped forward. "Honored delegates, I understand your concerns. Humanity is young compared to your civilizations. We have not spanned the stars, nor mastered vast empires. But what we lack in size or age, we make up in courage, creativity, and resilience. Humans have survived disasters, explored the unknown, and forged paths where others saw only obstacles. We are adaptable, innovative, and capable of cooperation and empathy beyond expectation." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates leaned forward, their curiosity piqued. Others remained skeptical, but they were listening. "Unpredictable, yes," Elias continued. "But unpredictability is not weakness, it is opportunity. It allows us to find solutions that no algorithm or centuries of experience could foresee. It allows us to turn challenges into progress. We do not rely on the rules of others, but on observation, understanding, and ingenuity. That is why humans are ready to participate, not to dominate, but to contribute, collaborate, and inspire." He paused, letting his words sink in. "You have seen my trials. I am only one human. Imagine what an entire species united in purpose could achieve. We bring diversity of thought, courage in adversity, and a willingness to take risks where others hesitate. We do not seek to conquer, but to learn, grow, and share. That is the promise humanity offers." The chamber fell silent. Elias felt his pulse, but also a calm determination. He had spoken the truth of humanity, and now the galaxy would weigh it. The Queen inclined her head. "Well spoken, Captain Harper. Humans are unlike any other species in the galaxy. Their history, their struggles, and their potential make them unique. But the decision is not mine alone. The Council must vote." One by one, delegates began to speak. Some cited caution, referencing humanity's youth and unpredictability. Others acknowledged the ingenuity, adaptability, and courage they had witnessed in the trials. A few, who had been wary from the start, admitted surprise at how a single human had solved problems, navigated dangers, and inspired trust in alien beings. The debate was long and measured. Elias listened carefully, noting which delegates were open-minded, which were rigid, and which seemed swayed by his presence alone. He understood that this was more than a vote. It was a negotiation of perception, trust, and reputation. Every word he had spoken, every action in the trials had influenced this moment. Finally, the Queen raised a filamented appendage, and the chamber fell silent. Her voice resonated with authority. "The Council must decide. We have observed, debated, and tested. We must now choose whether humanity will join the galaxy as equals, with rights, responsibilities, and recognition, or remain unknown, a species yet untested beyond its planet." Elias held his breath. He had done all he could. Now it was up to the galaxy to see what the Queen had already seen. A Larvok delegate spoke first. "We have witnessed creativity and strategy beyond our expectations. Humans think differently, and this difference is valuable. I vote to recognize humanity as a participant in galactic affairs." The viral delegate clicked its mandibles thoughtfully. "Their courage and empathy are undeniable. While unpredictable, they inspire cooperation and innovation. I too vote in favor." One by one, species that had once been skeptical now acknowledged humanity's potential. Even those who had feared disruption admitted that humans could contribute in ways no other species could. The chamber's vote was nearly unanimous. Humanity would be recognized, welcomed, and granted a voice among the stars. The Queen leaned forward, her golden eyes meeting Elias. "You see, Captain Harper, I told you humans have potential. The galaxy may fear the unknown, but it also respects what is proven. You have proven humanity today." Elias felt a swell of relief and pride. Humanity had been given a place in the wider galaxy, not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because of courage, creativity, and integrity. These were the qualities the Queen had seen in him, and now the galaxy acknowledged them. "You have carried your species with honor," the Queen continued. "But this is only the beginning. Recognition is not the same as influence. You will now serve as humanity's representative, learning, negotiating, and shaping relationships. Your choices will continue to define perception, and your example will guide how humans are seen across the stars." Elias nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility. He had not only proven humanity's value, he had committed to guiding it in this vast, complex galaxy. As he left the council chamber, he was met by other delegates who approached him, some offering gestures of respect, others curiosity, and a few cautious friendship. He realized that this recognition was not just symbolic. It was a chance to build alliances, share knowledge, and show that humanity could contribute to peace, exploration, and growth. Back in his quarters, Elias reflected on the events of the day. He had faced trials, witnessed judgment, and now had seen the galaxy open a door to his species. The Queen's insight had been correct. Humans were more than the sum of their parts, and the universe was beginning to notice. Yet he knew challenges remained. Other species would continue to test humanity, some in subtle ways, some openly. Diplomacy, negotiation, and adaptability would remain crucial. Humanity's journey among the stars was only beginning, and the path would be full of surprises, both delightful and dangerous. That evening, a message arrived directly from the Queen. Captain Harper, humanity is recognized, but recognition alone does not secure your place. You must continue to prove that humans can inspire, innovate, and endure. The galaxy is vast, and the future is uncertain. But I have faith in your kind. Rest now, for tomorrow begins the next chapter of your trials and achievements. Elias looked out at the alien city. Lights shimmered like stars, but they were closer, tangible, alive. He felt a deep connection, not only to this place, but to the responsibility he carried. Humans had been given a chance, and he would ensure it was not wasted. He allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. Recognition had been won, but influence, trust, and legacy would come through continued effort. He had faced judgment and trials, and humanity had passed. But the galaxy was vast, and the story of humans was only beginning. As he lay down to rest, he thought of Earth, its oceans, forests, mountains, and cities. He thought of the people who would never leave their planet yet had contributed to the spirit that now stood recognized among stars. Humanity's potential had been seen, and now it was time to guide it, protect it, and help it grow. Captain Elias Harper, human, envoy, and representative, understood that he was no longer alone. Humanity had taken the first steps into the galaxy, and the Queen's words had proven true. She knew who humans were, and now the universe was beginning to see them as well. The trials of perception had ended, but the real challenges, the choices, responsibilities, and opportunities were only just beginning. And Elias was ready. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and dangers, but for Captain Elias Harper, it now held a new purpose. Humanity had been recognized, not because of weapons, fleets, or raw power, but because of courage, creativity, and heart. The Council had acknowledged humans as participants in galactic affairs, and the Queen had personally affirmed the potential she had seen all along. Now it was time for humans to show the universe what they could truly contribute. Elias stood on the bridge of the Aurora, humanity's first ambassadorial starship, newly retrofitted with alien technology. The vessel hummed with energy, a mixture of human engineering and insights borrowed from the Council's species. For the first time, Earth was not just a distant blue dot, it was a player in the galaxy. And he, a single human, carried its hope and reputation among the stars. Captain Harper, a voice chimed from the communications console. Lieutenant Myra Chen, his second-in-command, spoke with calm precision. We have incoming transmissions from several Council species. They are inviting dialogue, joint missions, and cooperative research opportunities. The galaxy seems intrigued by humanity. Elias nodded. Good. Humanity must show that our words match our actions. Prepare to respond. We will visit each system, demonstrate goodwill, and share knowledge. Humanity's first steps among the stars will be remembered, not as conquest, but as contribution. The Aurora leapt into subspace, stars streaking past as they moved toward the first Council member's system. Elias observed the alien worlds on the navigation display. Worlds with cities that floated above oceans, forests that glowed at night, and deserts that shimmered like liquid metal. Each system held both beauty and mystery, and each species represented a lesson in adaptability and ingenuity. Their first stop was the system of the Larvok, the armored species who had first questioned humanity's reliability. Upon arrival, the Larvok ambassador met them in orbit. Elias stepped forward, extending a human greeting, an outstretched hand, accompanied by calm, respectful words. The ambassador's multiple eyes studied him, then widened slightly in acknowledgement. You have come not with weapons, but with openness, the Larvok said. This is unexpected. Elias smiled. We come as partners, we do not seek dominance, we seek understanding, cooperation, and exchange of knowledge. Humanity has much to learn, and we hope to contribute as well. The ambassador tilted its head, considering the words carefully. After a long pause, it spoke again. Then let us walk together, show us what your species can offer. Over the next cycles, Elias and his team shared human science, technology, art, and stories. Humans introduced ideas of environmental restoration, social collaboration, and flexible problem-solving. They did not impose, they did not dictate, they demonstrated. And in doing so, they inspired curiosity and respect. Next, they visited the viral system, a species initially cautious of humans. The viral cities were sleek, organic, almost liquid in design, reflecting light in ways that made human eyes strain to comprehend. The viral ambassador met them aboard a massive platform that hovered above a vibrant city. "Humans," it said, its tone clicking with measured speed, "we have observed your actions among others. You are unusual. You balance thought and intuition, reason and emotion. You do not rely solely on logic, yet you achieve it. Why?" Elias considered the question carefully. "Because that is who we are," he replied. "Humanity survives not just through calculation, but through heart, courage, and creativity. We learn, adapt, and inspire. That combination has allowed us to endure on Earth and now to step among the stars. We do not seek perfection, we seek progress." The viral ambassador's mandibles moved thoughtfully. "Perhaps there is merit in your unpredictability. You may yet teach us something as much as we teach you." Through these visits, humanity's reputation grew. Stories spread among the council species. A human had solved complex diplomatic crises, navigated deadly hazards with ingenuity, and inspired trust and cooperation in alien beings. Humans were not the largest, fastest, or strongest, but they were resourceful, adaptable, and courageous, qualities that resonated deeply with civilizations that had grown complacent in their long histories. Elias realized the significance. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy not as conquerors, but as innovators and collaborators. Their strength was not in weapons or fleets, but in thought, courage, and heart. They could turn challenges into opportunity, forge alliances, and inspire hope. Yet as he watched the stars streak past on the Aurora's viewports, he knew that challenges remained. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable. Not all species would accept humans easily. Some would fear them, others would test them, but Elias felt a quiet confidence. Humans had survived and thrived in the harshest conditions on Earth. Now they would do the same among the stars. A transmission arrived unexpectedly. It was the Queen herself, her golden eyes and luminous filaments appearing in a holographic projection. "Captain Harper," she said, her voice calm but filled with authority. "You have taken the first steps well. Humanity's approach is being observed with interest. You have proven that humans are more than what others assume. They are thinkers, innovators, and bearers of courage. But remember, recognition is not an end. It is a beginning. Influence, trust, and legacy must be earned continuously." Elias bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, humanity will not forget your faith. We will continue to demonstrate our values, not through force, but through action, courage, and understanding." The Queen's gaze softened just slightly. "Then the galaxy will continue to watch, and in watching it may learn, just as you have learned in stepping forward." After the transmission ended, Elias reflected on the journey. From a single recognition in the council chamber to walking among the stars, humanity had proven that potential, courage, and adaptability could open doors even in the most intimidating environments. He thought of Earth, of all the people who had not left the planet yet, whose spirit had propelled humanity to this moment. The Aurora approached its next mission, a cooperative research station with multiple species, designed to study phenomena that no single civilization could understand alone. Humans would contribute, learn, and inspire. Their presence was not a threat, it was a testament to what a small species could achieve when guided by intellect, empathy, and courage. As he prepared for the landing, Elias addressed his crew. "Remember what brought us here. It was not firepower, it was not age or numbers. It was who we are, humans, our courage, our creativity, and our ability to understand and inspire. Carry that into every system, every station, every council chamber. The galaxy must see us as we truly are." Myra Chen, standing beside him, nodded. "We will, Captain." Humanity will not fail its first step. The ship descended toward the station, lights reflecting in alien oceans, and Elias felt a profound sense of purpose. This was more than exploration or diplomacy. This was humanity's chance to show the galaxy what it could do, not as conquerors, but as innovators, allies, and creators. As the Aurora docked, delegates from multiple species awaited them, some skeptical, some curious, and some openly welcoming. Elias stepped forward, confident and calm. He understood the weight of humanity's presence. Each action, each word would shape perception, influence trust, and determine opportunities. He spoke first, his voice carrying across species and forms. We are humans. We are not the largest, the fastest, or the strongest, but we are thinkers, problem solvers, and collaborators. We have survived against odds, created solutions where others saw only problems, and learned to adapt to any environment. We do not seek dominance. We seek understanding, contribution, and partnership. The delegates listened carefully. Some nodded, others tilted their heads in consideration. For the first time, humans were not unknown, underestimated, or dismissed. They were recognized for what they were, capable, adaptable, and full of potential. And somewhere in the background, observing silently, the Queen watched. Her eyes glimmered with quiet approval. She had known humans were capable. Now the galaxy was beginning to see it for itself. The first cooperative mission began. Humans worked alongside alien species, solving complex problems, sharing knowledge, and inspiring new ways of thinking. Every challenge was an opportunity, every obstacle a lesson. And with each success, humanity's reputation grew. Elias realized that the trials were not just about proving humanity to others, they were about proving humanity to themselves. Humans had always underestimated their potential, limited by fear or history. Now, standing among the stars, guided by courage, intellect, and heart, they were showing the universe, and themselves, what they could achieve. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers, yet for the first time, humans were ready to step into it fully. Not as conquerors, not as invaders, but as thinkers, innovators, and allies. And Captain Elias Harper, human, ambassador, and representative, knew that this was only the beginning. The story of humanity among the stars had begun, and the universe would never look at them the same way again. The stars stretched endlessly before him, but for the first time humanity had a place among them. A place earned through courage, creativity, and heart. And as the aurora soared into the unknown, Elias smiled. Humanity was ready.